So, hey, Frank Clark here again. Just finished the other blab, and we're going to get started now with Leo Nofsky, who's going to be interviewing Leo Lamb. Hey, Leo, how are you today?
I am fantastic. I am fired up. Startup Con Live is really a transformative experience. And Jonathan, thank you so much. Those of you who don't know, Jonathan is the man behind the scene. He is
the man with the plan, making it all happen for us today.
God, talk about education, guys. This is a team that's building as we go along, and he is keeping it all together. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I just want to pop on and say hi. Welcome, everybody. I know you guys have your guests. I'm actually going to pop off here. Let's see if I can tweet this out before I pop off. I love to do that. I love to catch you guys. Let's see if it'll let me do it. I've been a little slow because I've got so much going on. I really can't wait to see you guys. So anyway, I'm going to be in the background. If you guys need anything, just say, hey, John, what's going on? So,
all right, cool. Thanks, Jonathan.
Yep.
So, Leo Lamb, if you're in the room, please dial in.
Yep. He should be coming in the moment.
I did the sound check with him earlier, so he's in good shape.
We already set everybody out.
So please also remember to tell a little bird, tweet it out to your fan base, etc. Hey, Lori, how are you?
Good. I just dropped in.
Nice to see you.
How you doing? All right, we're just trying to get Leo was already set up. I'm just trying to figure. Let's see.
I'm here helping.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I will get him.
Frank.
He's going into the wrong room. Okay, so.
Okay, Leo.
Yeah, Jonathan. Hold on a second.
Yeah, Leo, can you mute yourself if you're talking to him? Because then we can tell everybody the rules of
okay, go for it. Yep, I'll be right back.
Mute yourself. Yep. Okay.
Okay, so he left. All right, Frank. It's the two of us. Now, you were just telling people to tweet this out. If you give it a second, especially when it's probably best if Leo and Leo are actually in the room when you're doing it, because then you'll get their nice gifts.
Okay, great.
But we do want people to know how to ask questions /Q space, and then they can answer, and then they can ask the question, and that will highlight it, which will make it a lot easier for the guest and the host to follow your questions, and also for the moderator and the co-host in the background. So thank you. Thanks.
All right, and I'm typing it into the thing here. I think somebody's got a gift that they've been using as well.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Better now. I'm actually going to be getting off screen, but
awesome. Thank you, guys. I just texted Leo. He got the old link before, so he is getting into. He'll be there in a second. So let me start. Yep.
I was just going to say. So I'm going to see both of you again in an hour. I'll let you take over once Leo comes on, and then we'll ask everybody to tweet it out again.
Yeah.
All right, but I'll see you guys on the wrap-up show in an hour. Okay. Thanks, Lori.
Yep.
Right.
See you soon. Time flies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This is hour number 5, I think. My second hour at this incredible show. And today, what we're going to talk about this hour, we're going to talk about kickstarting your big idea. This is all about dreaming it. And I got to tell you that there are more tools now than ever before. There are incredible opportunities that literally people did not even knew existed 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. This this beta blab has not been alive for more than 6 months. So some of the opportunities here are emerging as we speak. And so you being part of this conversation can literally be the cutting edge for you. Your business can actually benefit. Your startup can actually benefit right here, right now. And I am really proud to present to you Leo Lamb, who is a fellow entrepreneur, angel investor, fellow member at Keiretsu Forum, which is the largest angel investor group in the world. Here in the Northwest, we have a really active chapter, several chapters, where entrepreneurs come in and pitch and get money for their products, kind of real life Shark Tank, with a lot more due diligence, I may add. I could never figure out how they do throw money at people without due diligence. There must be some kind of a catch on there. But
the due diligence, I think, happens on the back end on that show. So I'm going to click out, and Bonnie's going to click out. Good luck with your show, and thanks, Leo and Leo. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yep.
And everybody else, remember to tweet it out and Facebook it out. Thanks.
Yep, tweet it out and Facebook it out. We have a great opportunity here to connect. And I will never forget the first time I connected with Leo. First of all, how do you forget such a good name? Let's be honest. And Leo was recommended to me by another common acquaintance of ours, someone who is even crazier than either of us. And because Leo was working for a man, his name is Lucas Svek with Sanzer, who himself has raised $800,000 on Kickstarter, which became really the foundation of his business. That attracted me immediately. And so Leo kind of interviewed me for a job of a speech coach for Lucas. And so that's how the relationship started. Later on, Leo and I met at Keiretsu Forum, and we started kind of formally learning and working together. The best way I can describe Leo is that he's a value generator. So he finds value, and then he generates, he finds holes in the value, and then he plugs it in. Formerly trained as an engineer and professor of entrepreneurship at University of Washington, he really is kind of a Renaissance man, from photography to art to entrepreneurship. It's kind of like a big thing for him. But one of the things he's really good at is helping startups really get their footing once they already have their great idea. And so this concept, now that we're on this foundational platform called Blab, where we are crowd communicating, I thought it was very appropriate in this first day to talk about Kickstarter and how Kickstarter can be a huge positive force for your big idea. So Leo, give us a little bit background of how you came to entrepreneurship in general, and specifically, how did you get to know Kickstarter?
Right. So I have been starting companies, doing companies for quite a few years, since I started my first company in when I was about 19, 20 years old. And then since then, I have started a medical software company. I've started a consulting firm, obviously. I'm a fashion photographer. I'm published worldwide. And also a fuel cell company. That one, I would say, that's a badge of honor. And also, that's, there are other things that I am going to be starting very soon. I have raised money before, and of course now I'm also on the side of providing help and financial support to new companies. In terms of Kickstarter, I really got into that via Sancerre, and it was, I saw them do the Kickstarter and learned a lot from seeing what they have done. And then I have since helped three more companies do their Kickstarter campaign. One of them hasn't gone live yet, but the other ones are live, and they both raised a good chunk of money.
So tell the audience then a little bit more detail what it is that you saw Lucas Svek do for Sancerre. And by the way, those of you who are following that, you can and you, especially if you have a holiday for you need a holiday gift for someone special who loves food, I can't recommend it enough. Sancerre.com. Check that out. But tell us what actually happened. Tell us what Lucas did.
Okay, so Lucas did it with his co-founder Scott, and what happened was that they both I should summarize it because it's going to be a really long story if I don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So Scott and Lucas both came from a science background. Lucas is actually a PhD candidate in quantum computing.
Yeah.
So he's a physicist, and they both. Well, Lucas recognized that there is a need for a sous vide machine because of a speech he heard from Nathan Merville, the guy who started Modernist Cuisine. And so Lucas started thinking it shouldn't cost $900 to build a water heater, and and then he's also, you know, being a physicist normally is very theoretical, but he's also very good at getting his hands dirty. So he started building something, and then he noticed that Seattle Food Geek, which is Scott's pseudonym online, has built a $70, not very good looking, but functional sous vide machine online and using Amazon parts.
Wow.
And yeah, and oh, by the way, yes, I see the question of what is sous vide. I'll explain that later. But the major point is they saw something that shouldn't cost $900 to make and decided to make one themselves. Mm-hmm. So they joined force together and put a prototype together. They obviously had to put some money in, built a good enough prototype, and then they set up the campaign, send it out to enough marketing people, and generate a lot of buzz. And once that happens, they throw on their Kickstarter. They actually reached the goal in less than 13 hours. Their goal was $10,000.
What was their goal? Do you remember?
The goal was the goal was $100,000. They ended up raising close to $900,000 by the end of the month.
Yeah. So let's stop there for just a second, okay?
Yeah.
So they have a 200. So what? Let me recap. Lucas had an idea of a fancy water heater that is a precise temperature. Yep. For those of you who don't know what sous vide is, it's if you think of, let me do it this way. If you have salmon, you put it in for salmon to be perfect temperature and edible, it has to be 55.5 degrees Celsius. All right? Or like 130 Fahrenheit, whatever, 150.
Yeah. A certain temperature.
A certain temperature. It's not art, it's science. All right? And so the idea is if I were to put salmon on a piece of on a skillet, the idea is if it's done somewhere in the middle, right? In the middle, it'll reach that temperature of whatever, 55 Celsius. But on the outside, it will be like 100. And so you have this dried up piece of meat. With sous vide, you put it in the bag, you put it in a precise temperature, water temperature, and you cook it for a little longer, like 20, 30 minutes. At the end, every part of the salmon is the same. And if you can't overcook it, because it'll just stay that temperature. That's it. So the idea here, that's why I said go to Sanzera.com. But the idea here is that he had an idea and he didn't build it. He did not build it. What he did is he promised to build it, right?
No, he built up to a point that is a prototype.
Yeah, just a prototype. But then he didn't innovate. He said, I need more money. And instead of trying to go and raise money, he didn't do it. He went to the market and said, I have this idea, buy it now. And so this $900,000 is really 5,000 units of that people pre-bought. Right, 4,000, right? Something like that, because it's about $190.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Just stop and think about this, guys. So as a result, what did he get? And again, he just wanted 100 units, and people bought, or 1,000 units, and people bought 4,000 units, right?
Right.
Or no, he wanted 500 units, and people bought 4,000. So obviously, he didn't just do it organically. He also leveraged social media. Is that right?
They leveraged, so the whole idea of building a successful Kickstarter campaign, and I also see a question.
That's from right. It's just right. Yeah, exactly. It's this
same. Addresses that. And I see Amin's question as well. So I'll answer that later. The whole idea is that it's not just social media. So Scott, who is a fairly well-known blogger at his website, seattlefoodgeek.com, they certainly leverage that for sure, of course. So you have to have some credibility and started building that. The second thing,
where did he find Scott? So Scott was his partner, correct?
Yeah, Scott is his partner, and I think Lucas basically saw his post online and reached out to him and say, "Hey, I have built this. I actually think that we can build a commercially viable unit to sell." And then the conversation started. It took them a year and a half to put it together.
But notice how, again, for those of you who are listening, I always try to take the conversation out and get takeaway points. And feel free to tweet them. There's that tweet button. If anything I or Leo says that strikes you as aha, tweet it out or connect with us. Link in, or not link, tweet and connect with us on Blab and on Twitter. But what I heard you say, and this is critical, guys, as you consider it, that Lucas, and this goes to Jacob's question, Lucas didn't have any followers. Lucas was he's an amazingly bright physicist. This is why Leo connected me to him, so I can help him pitch with more power, because that's not his strength. And he was working in a lab. He reached out and found someone else who has different skill sets. All right, so Scott did not have the idea, but he had the following. And so this is the critical piece that all of us need to remember, and this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way, that it's not about the product, it's about the people. It's always about the who. And in this case, it was the team, because that Seattle, Seattle Food Geek really put him on the map. And then he did several other things, like a really good video, a really good social media campaign. And he exceeded his own expectations.
Yeah. So there are both the social media part, and then there's also a traditional medium part. So to Jacob's answer is that even if you don't have a core follower, you can still do it. It would just take you some time. Reach out to people that matters, either other bloggers who are interested in your product or your services, and also reach out to traditional media. In fact, the great reason why Sancerre was hugely successful was because of one single blog post on SeriousEats.com, which is a very, very well-read foodie publication online. And so what happened was they averaged, Serious Eats article came out the day their Kickstarter went live. So it was also a kind of a kickstart to the Kickstarter campaign, where they coordinated the start of the campaign with that blog post, and that sent them over the top and get them to over 13, get them to reach the goal within less than 13 hours.
Right, exactly. So this is the real critical piece, that coordinating this together is really important. And sometimes, so since then, so before we go on since then, so I want you guys to reflect on the trickle down here. So both Leo and I, we hear a lot of pitches through Kickstarter, not Kickstarter, Keiretsu Forum. And one of the first things investors look for is traction, right? Traction beats everything. Then after that, team is the next most important. And then the product. Get this, traction, and you can tweet that if you want, traction, team, product. Yet most entrepreneurs pitch the other way around. They pitch product. Here's our team. And we have just a little bit of traction, but we need all your money. And if you give us all your money, then we'll get some traction. And that's just bullshit. So rather than doing that, you imagine Lucas coming in as he did. Now he was raising $4 million. How much did he ultimately make in the first year? Like $4 million?
Oh, I don't think I should disclose that.
Yeah, exactly. Some millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
But the idea is that he was able to create great value. And now he's coming in and saying, hey, A, I have a good story. B, I have cash. And the cash is not just from my grandma, right? Or from my own pocket, or from another investor. It is from the customers. So it's killing two birds with one stone, right? Or whatever the analogy will be. This is why this is so critical to understand that I want you to think of Kickstarter as a tool, but I also want you to think of it as a symbol. That there are ways to leverage technology and people in the way that is not common use. It's not something that I knew, definitely not something we learned in school, right, Leo?
Yeah, it's not. So the whole idea really is that if you create something of value, remember that the first part is that the idea was solving a problem. The idea was not just an idea. It was something that solves a problem.
Right.
And this is what I call the first step in entrepreneurship, is identify a pain. If you get to see what kind of pain people are suffering from, or a pain that is even, oh gosh, cleaning the floor is a pain. That's a pain. Is it a huge pain? Maybe not. It's not world peace, but it's at the same time, how many hours does, say, my iRobot Roomba save me from cleaning the floor? Is it worth $200, saving me 3-5 hours a week, and it keeps running for a year? So if you can think of a product or service that create a value in the sense that it solves a problem or it relieves some people's pain, then you can start thinking about building that. Once you have built it to a point where you can sell them, you may not even have to finish building the product. You have to build it to a point where you can sell it. And that's where the bar of Kickstarter is. Kickstarter also now requires that you have a prototype. It doesn't need to be production ready, but you have to have a working prototype. And that's also a point where people can start selling, even in traditional business outside of Kickstarter. You can start selling it to potential customers and see what value it brings to the customers. Because even if you think your product has value, it doesn't mean the customers think so. You can
exactly
bring it up to a point. You can bring it up to a point where you can start saying, okay, this is what I'm building. Would you pay for it? If they say, yes, but I need these tweaks, then you're learning very quickly what, and you save yourself from, building a full product and then noticing, oh my God, that part is completely valueless, but this part is very, very important, and we should have put more resources in there. So it's a good iterative process when it comes to building a new product and a new service.
Right. And a couple of things before we go on. So if you have a question, make sure that you put \Q space and then give your question so that it comes up on the question menu rather than just in the messages. It'll be much easier. But I just retweeted or rewrote Jacob's question. And that is, so if I wanted to create comic music product, then I would need an article in Rolling Stone. Haha, right? Well, yeah, or who else? So one of the critical points that I use when I teach entrepreneurship is I talk about reaching out and finding the right who. So answering the question why is what Leo just mentioned about how important it is to understand the why, the pain. But also the next piece is who. So if there's big enough why, there's got to be the right who. And so there are the who in management or connection. So Lucas found Scott. If you want, you might know someone through LinkedIn, 2 degrees of separation, who works for Rolling Stone, or chances are Rolling Stone are for baby boomers. Let's be honest, right? So if you're going for millennials, it might not be Rolling Stone. It might be some other blog. And that's what I encourage everyone to look for, not improving their product. That's the mistake I made. I had a really good product. I had a working fitness equipment company called Fitness Arch. Fitness equipment for people with physical limitations. And Leo, you talked about your badge of honor. We'll talk about this in a second. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's my badge of honor, right? So I had a pipe dream, literally made out of pipe. It's like a Bowflex for seniors. And I made the product. I made initial sales. And you know what I did after that? I went back to the drawing board to improve the fucker rather than leveraging what I already had. So don't make the same mistake and focus on you finding the right people. All your energy should go into finding the right people, not building the right product. I wish I knew that, but chances are if somebody told me that, I probably wouldn't have listened either. So take this with a grain of salt. What do you think about that, Leo? Focus, I mean, the idea has to be right, but don't focus on building a perfect product. Find the right people.
Yeah, I just noticed Amin's comment. Yeah, I think there's no one size fit all with these type of items, especially in this world where there are now, I mean, a lot of ideas are being talked as if they're software, and building a physical product involves quite a bit more lead time and thoughts and iterations than, say, a software can iterate, because software iterations can be really fast. If you run agile, updates can be fairly fast, but with physical products, your lead time can be 60 to 90 days. So what you want to do with, so Amin is right, it is different for every situation. However, the whole idea of a minimum viable product, an MVP, is the same for hardware and software. Is you build up to a point where you can sell it, and then let's see if people would buy that thing.
But sell it. But hold on, Leo, and this is important. Sell it is a very loaded term.
Yes, it is.
So notice Lucas did not build something that he could sell immediately. Build something that is a proof of concept and ideally can actually be sold even though it has bugs. I mean, think about it. If Microsoft waited until they had a program operating system without bugs, they would not have yet. They would yet have. They yet to launch a product like that, right? This is one of the biggest companies. Iterate and put it in and fucking fail fast, right?
Right. Fail fast doesn't mean failing, though. Fail fast only means you are able to pivot and change. Pivot
fast. Yeah, pivot fast. And but there are a few things that you want to avoid. So since then, since you saw kind of the example of Sanzera, tell me about your experiences with other entrepreneurs on Kickstarter.
Sure. So there are two other that I worked with. One of them briefly, one of them a little bit more involved, helping them set up the structure. The other one was GrowlerWorks, and they basically GrowlerWorks is a growler that would automatically keep your craft beer carbonated properly, so you can buy the microbrews from a filling station and keep it for multiple days without it going flat.
How do you spell that?
Growler. Yep. Jonathan got it.
Oh, Jonathan got it. Good. I'm glad we got Jonathan in the back. Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah. So GrowlerWorks raised over $2 million at the end to build a fancy growler that's cost more than $100 when a glass growler costs only $10. So, but they solve a big problem. It's because people who loved craft beer have always lacked a way to keep the beer they have bought and paid a chunk of money on more than a day or two, because it's going to go flat. And they solved that problem by having a carbon dioxide injection module built into the growler itself. And so they did a really good job. and they are delivering right now. I think I'm getting mine at the end of this week.
Party at Leo's house. Just FYI, everyone. Party at Leo's house.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a wine drinker, but I support them.
That's awesome. So what are some of the lessons that you can share with the audience in terms of Kickstarter wisdom? And by the way, before you do, I just want to mention that I set up an Eventbrite specifically to kind of capture this the interest in this particular topic. If you go to Kickstart Your Big Idea, .eventbrite.com, bright.com, and maybe Jonathan, can you retype that without the comma? What you're going to get is we're going to record this, but we're also going to transcribe it in audio and edit it, and also send you some of the tips, both communication tips from me, 52 tips on Speak with Power, as well as Leo is going to provide you 5 key steps to succeeding in Kickstarter campaigns. Go into that, and that way you can kind of also support this kind of amazing content if you're getting value out of it. So go ahead. What are some of those lessons?
The lessons are not that different from building any other startup companies. First of all, is you have to know that your idea is not just an idea that you can build, and that it does solve a problem. Especially for Kickstarter, a lot of the items are physical products. You would really want to think about whether it solves a large group's pain. It's not just a small pain. So I'm talking about crowd evidence versus anecdotal evidence, because your own pain may not be shared by other people. You want to find a pain that is shared by a lot of other people that you might have also experienced in your life. So make sure you know that pain is shared. And then you can build a product that addresses that pain directly, and you can quantify the value that this product would provide. So for example, Sancerre cut the cost of sous vide cooking from $900 to $200. That's a great value. Growler Works, saving people's expensive craft beer from going bad, and people can say, all right, all the craft beer that I dumped out every time cost me $9. I dumped out 20 of those every year, and so if I dumped out those every year, so I'm wasting $200-300 a year. Growler Works. The growler is about $120. Okay, it's actually cheaper than the waste that I produce. So if you can quantify that, that's great. And then you have to build up to a point where there is a prototype. That's the bar for Kickstarter. You do not need to have you do not have to have a bunch of stock already ready to ship for Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is a great way to create operating cash for you to do tooling and get manufacturing order done. Now, before that, it would be great to already line up manufacturing and know that you're ready to go. And the only thing you need right now at the end is just your cost of doing tooling.
Right.
And after that, and after that is to make sure you build a campaign, know which media platform is going to help you amplify your voice. If you're doing food products, Serious Eats, Epicurean, let's see who you know. If your item, your product is so valuable that the editors and the journalists on those platforms certainly can see it too. They would see, oh my God, we have been trying to cook sous vide for ages, and all the products that are available to us are only $800, $900. and you're building something beautiful and usable, and for what? For $200? Gosh, I'm running out of things to write. I need to write something, and this is a great idea that I can write about. I would write for you. So this is, yeah, and this is the main takeaway: is build something that you that provides a great value or would solve a problem. People would want to write about it. People would get excited about it, and you have to find reason why people would think is exciting. So think about Growler Works. Beer, part of it is beer is always exciting. If you want to build something and raise a lot of money on Kickstarter, do beer. It's fantastic.
Not kittens. I always thought kittens would be the thing. Like, no,
kittens would work too. I don't know how.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Made a kitten to clean your floors, but if you can do that, he did say kittens. So I think that's the biggest takeaway is definitely get the value. I do have to warn people though that Kickstarter, almost every campaign that I have worked with or advised, it would take almost a year to build that campaign up, build up the product to a point where you can videotape it and set up all the infrastructure to launch this Kickstarter campaign. So it does take a while.
So I want to come in here and just echo on this and reflect again. What it really means, what Leo is saying, is that if you have an idea that you're trying to develop, if you're dreaming your big idea, start now, right? So right now, in a year, my question to you, if you and I were face-to-face here, I would ask you, when are you planning to have a minimum viable product? When are you going to have a proof of concept? And you say 6 months, 9 months, a year. So when are you supposed, and I would say, can this go on Kickstarter? And you said, I never thought about it. Maybe. When do you want to start the Kickstarter process? Now. If it takes a year to get it fully in production, start now. Right? And then the other piece that I want to, because Leo kind of alluded to it, but I want to really put it really straight in the center, because that's where my passion is. So Leo is a value generator. I am a communication guy. My job is authentic stories. So how do you tell the world about your value? That is where my passion is. So then the idea is, it's one thing to develop the value. And the reason why I was working with Lucas is that he needed to show that value to investors. And whether it's beer, even if it's kittens, and even if it's kittens, as Frank Clark just said, kittens drinking beer, which I think is a great idea, you still need to develop it. You still need to deliver it. And with Kickstarter, how you tell the story on video, how you tell the story in the social media, how you tell the story of your clients, that is a separate skill set. It's a different muscle. And Leo can really, I'm sure, connect with it. We were, was it 2 weeks ago, right? We were listening to Keiretsu Forum. We went to a kind of first look. So there is a first look where people who really want to, if they've been invited, it's by invitation only, and vetted, people come in and they give their initial presentation, and investors in the room vote yay or nay, or whether either to move them forward, delay them, or reject them. And there were 5 different presentations, 10 minutes each. And all of the products or services have some inherent value. They all fit, in my opinion, that kind of pain point checklist. Right? Does it solve a pain, a big pain? Each one had a big enough pain. But the level with which people presented it varied tremendously. Mm-hmm. And there was one particular individual which was clearly has potential, maybe an amazing idea, maybe, but nobody would ever find out until he changes the way he presents it. Would you agree, Leo?
Yeah, that's and also remember the way you present, and that's why Leo, the other Leo, the beta Leo. So this one, the Leo adds a lot of value. Is that how you present your product, whether you present in a way that solves a pain, and how you present it, and also it gives the investors a sense of how business savvy you are, because business savvy is not just about knowing how to build a product. That's why there are product development managers, and then there are sales and marketing people. A good business person also needs to be able to articulate the value add of the product and the services, and why, and the fact that he or she can sell and market this product to the intended target audience. Better yet, if you can show traction, then all of a sudden you have validation. Market validation is a very valuable thing for investors. And we look at traction as a point where your company's valuation jumps. A pre-revenue company's valuation can never be very high, especially in the current market. If you are a company that has some income, it shows that there is a market for you, and you can begin to iterate from your existing customer and create more value for all other future customers. And so that's a very important thing, is to know how to tell your story. I understand, especially for people who are maybe like me. I can say I'm a hard scientist. I was fairly robotic until about a decade ago. I had a good mentor and started talking about
fairly robotic. Guys, oh man, you just given me the best phrase. I was fairly robotic.
I was very robotic. You can ask my lady.
No, I know, right. Fairly robot, but it's just so elegant. Instead of saying awkward or bad communicator, or I was fairly robotic. Yes, I could see that.
Yeah,
yes,
I was fairly robotic. So talking about telling a story is a little bit of a foreign concept to me. However, the fun part is I was also in the theater, and I was an opera singer. So I worked with a lot of artistic people, and my brain went to, okay, you mean telling a love story, telling a story that is fun or scary or whatever, but it's not. It's telling a story of a product that delivers relief to pain, and that is a story by itself. If you don't want to call it telling a story, you can say, I want to, in a robotic way, you can say, I want to justify the value of my product to the market. That's another way of saying telling a story, but that's the story that the beta Leo is talking about here.
Thank you so much, Leo. And the one thing that I want to kind of mention is I just retweeted what Frank Clark just said, which was really where is that thing? Let's see. I'll retweet it here. And this was Frank's. It's not the best ideas that attract funding, but the best storytellers. And it's a combination of the two. But it's not the best ideas for sure. The ideas have to be functional and effective, but the storytelling is really critical. A good example that most people here can really relate to is that of a job interview. Because whether you are a accountant or a lawyer or a coach or a salesperson, it doesn't matter. The idea is you have your own skill sets that make you good at what you do. But if you're looking for a job, it requires a different skill set. It's like a new muscle. So what Kickstarter forces one to do is, from the very beginning, tell the story. And contrary to common belief, if you build it, they will not come. The quality of the product will not talk for itself. It will not. So I fell in love at some point in my career with my fitness arch. I fell in love with my product. And that's what drove me to succeed. And it was also the seed of my failure. So when I teach my students at UW or when I teach my clients on startups, I say, I cannot tell you how to succeed because that's up to you, but I will show you how not to fail. So this idea is you want to share your story in a way that engages yourself and others. And Kickstarter is a great way to do it because then you can actually prove the concept right there, rather than me assuming that my customers will buy this once I build it, which was my mistake. You can literally test it. Leo, we're coming close to the end of the hour. What other skill, we talked about Kickstarter and Indiegogo is another one, right? They're crowdfunding. What other options can you suggest for people that they may not know? How to both get the name out or crowdfunding or some other funding options?
Okay. Well, let me add one more thing to what you said earlier too. Is and I know this. I think Frank typed it out. It's scientists and engineers think about facts. Now the good news is that the storytelling skill can be learned. Learn it with the other Leo. It's totally teachable, totally learnable. It is not rocket science, but it is something that once you have accepted that as a skill to be learned, you can absolutely learn it. I mean, I personally had to learn that part myself.
I think every one of us has to learn it. Everyone,
right.
Myself, there is no one who is. Everyone has to learn it. Everyone can improve it. Go ahead.
Right, and to your other questions, there are. It depends on your services and products that you're trying to build. Besides crowdfunding, it also depends on whether your product is, if you're doing something, say, in the medical devices field, there are a lot of grants out there. You can apply to SBIR, STTR. Small Business Administration is a very good place to start to get grants to build something that's valuable. But even with those, you would still have to prove a certain amount of development level to show them, or to at least help them match you to the right not campaign, but their programs. There are a lot of them. And if you fit into other, demographics group, there are also specific grants for that. SBA is a very good place to start.
So I put in SBA.gov. Everyone look into it. This is your tax money actually being used for something useful. Seriously.
Yeah.
That is a great way to do it. We're almost out of time. I want to plug in one more thing, and that is angel groups. There are angel groups in your cities. Forum. And Jonathan put in kairetsuforum.com, I think. But Kairetsu Forum is a great place to start, but there are other angel investment groups. The idea here is that you can pitch to them and get rejected, and pitch to them again and get rejected. And the people you want, it's not the money you want in the beginning, is those people who are listening. They can become mentors. And that is priceless. Mm-hmm. So I got my major investor. I met him at the most boring SBA course. It was terrible. The speaker was horrible. And it was, in fact, so horrible that we started talking amongst each other. And that's where I got my biggest investor. So I am really encouraging you guys to think outside the box and think about funding before you finish your product, not after. Now, again, you can also do the Blab way, which is build and create huge following first, and then think about monetization. But for many, many products, this is key. And Leo, the value that you provide to people is critical, and I want to thank you. If you want to follow Leo and get more of his advice, LinkedIn with him or tweet with him. Connect with me as well at Leonovsky Speaks. I'm also offering the Eventbrite link. Jonathan, if you can put that in again, if you want the recordings and some of our tips. And then you can also sign up on my website, speakwithpower.net, if you actually want to learn a few more things about communication. And I'll be speaking about that on Wednesday in the Art of Powerful Pitch, if you are interested. So look in for that. All right. All right. So we have Frank coming on to sign us off. What's coming up, Frank?
Hey, guys. Hey, Leo and Leo. Great job. That was an awesome conversation. Lori's coming in, too.
Thanks, Leo.
Hey, Lori.
So coming up next, we've got Dream It Reflections. So that's reflections on the entire day of the Dream It theme and lessons learned throughout the day. And that's going to be with the three of us, Lori, Leo Novsky, and myself. So, Jonathan, if you could post the link to Dream It Reflections, that's coming up in 8 minutes.